I am surrounded by thick sal forest on all sides. The terrain is as rough as it can be, which makes it very difficult to walk. A little ahead lies a river. I take my shoes in my hands and roll up my pants. It is peak winter and the water is ice cold. I cross the river and sit on a rock, waiting for my feet to dry up. I rub off the gravel and sand off my feet, put my shoes back, and start walking again. Now comes the toughest part. A super steep hill lies ahead. Taking the support of bamboos around help me climb up. Sometimes I slip and skid, but holding on to the nearest branch provides grip. The territory is very ideal for sloth bears, which frighten me the most. I somehow managed to climb the top and complete my survey. I climb down the same path, and to my astonishment, I see not one, not two, but three surprises in line. Fresh pug marks of a leopard, a sloth bear, and a tigress with three cubs, all pointing in the direction of my onward path. None of these were present during my onward journey, and as I climbed the hill and came back, all these wild animals climbed behind me.
Hello everyone, I'm Akshita Jain, a BTech final year student at IIT Guwahati. So, being from a technical institute and pursuing a technical course, I'm no expert when it comes to wildlife or wildlife conservation. But what still makes me stand here and talk to you all about this subject are some of the many experiences in the past years as a wildlife photographer. Some experiences that made me see things with a different eye, look beyond the obvious, and understand nature. I was exposed to nature and wildlife since the very early years of my life. My parents' work led me to spend days in the forests of central India since I was just 5 years of age. Thus, love for nature and wildlife came very naturally to me. So, few years later, when I first held the camera at about the age of 13, I started to use it as a tool to capture nature and wildlife moments with me and relive them later. Talking about wildlife photography, I would say it is very different from other genres of photography in the sense that one not only requires a lot of technical knowledge about the camera, but also a very deep knowledge about animal behavior and environment. And being in this field for 8 years now, I have had a chance to learn so much about wildlife. I strongly believe that with this knowledge that I gained on the field, it is now my responsibility to give back to wildlife by contributing in conservation. So it was last year that I actually got this very big opportunity when I was selected to conduct a 15-day long survey in one of the forests of central India. Now opportunities like these come with their own challenges because forests are no luxury holiday retreats. So one has to live a very minimal life in forest camps and walk kilometers every day. Now it is a very thrilling experience to be on foot in these wild areas which are inhabited by all sorts of wildlife. And being all alone on foot there definitely requires a lot of guts. Also, as you might have guessed already, there is no electricity or network in the forest. Now this effectively means that you will be staying disconnected from the entire world and your torchlight will be your only source of light after the sun sets in the evening. But as they say, there might not be any Wi-Fi in the forest, but you'll surely find a better connection. And despite all these challenges, this was something that I really wanted to do and I was finally able to be a part of it. Coming to my work, I along with one forest guard walked about 10 to 15 kilometers every day in the forest. And you would be very amazed to know that this was one of the world's highest tiger density areas with about 8 tigers per square kilometer. So I think you'll agree with me when I say that this was the most ideal place in the world to understand tiger and wildlife behavior. Now for those of you who haven't been to the forest, let me tell you, the jungle has all the senses. It talks, it hears and it watches. And if you pay close attention, then you can actually get the messages of the jungle through sounds, smell and sight. So when it comes to tracking big cats, there are several things that we notice. First of all, imprints of their paws on the ground, which are known as pug marks. Now, these not only tell you about the presence of a big cat, but if you analyze their shape and size, then you can also tell about the gender and species. And looking at how sharp the edges are, you can tell apart if the pug marks are fresh or old. Coming to smell. Now, many animals have a very peculiar smell which can help us in recognizing them distinctly. For example, the tiger has this rice-like smell which is very distinct. And of course, if a big cat has made a kill nearby, then the smell of the kill will tell you about the presence. Next, coming to my favorite part, which is the sounds. So one of the most interesting things to note about the jungle is how different prey species alert each other about the presence of the predator. Now, this is done by making certain sounds which are known as calls. So every prey species has a particular call for a predator. And if you are able to recognize these calls, then you know which animal is around you. And of course, when the big cat is itself roaring nearby, then you know that it's around. In this survey, one transit consisted of one walk into the forest, and I did two transits each day. Now, in all these 15 days, that is 30 transits, I saw signs of the tiger. There could be very fresh pug marks, alarm calls by various prey species, different smells that confirmed the presence, and sometimes the tiger even roared at me from distance as close as 150 meters. But here comes the interesting part. I never saw the tiger. In all these 15 days, I never came across the tiger. Now the question arises, what does this prove? Many of us consider wildlife as the biggest threat to human beings, the most dangerous things that can ever happen to us. But the fact that I'm alive today suggests something else. The jungle always watches you. And even though I never saw a tiger, the tiger was watching and observing me every single time. It observed my movement and changed its path accordingly so as to never come across me. The tigers do not see us as their prey. They are in fact more scared of us than we are of them. It is only when humans cross their boundaries, accidentally or intentionally, that the tiger starts to see them as a threat. And it is then, in their self-defense, that they attack. Cities and villages are expanding their boundaries. Humans are entering the forest to get wood and other materials. And when humans cross their boundaries, conflicts do happen. In my survey, I worked with a different forest guard each day and thus heard stories experienced by different eyes each day. Now, in most of these stories, the person would have super close encounters with the tiger. Sometimes the tiger would even come near them to smell them. But these people, being in the forest for so many years, knew how to react. They would stay still and they would not make any panicky moves. And in all of these stories, the tiger would itself walk away in a while. Now, these stories are the biggest proof of the fact that the tigers do not want to attack us unless they sense danger. In the end, you will only conserve what you love and you will only love what you understand. I'm very certain that the real change would come only when the ordinary people fall in love with the wild. Many times our careers and professions do not allow us to devote time to the things we love. You might not be a full-time wildlife conservationist. You might have other commitments. But if you love wildlife, you can contribute in whatever tiny little ways possible for you. In my survey, I was the only one who was from a non-wildlife educational background. And for the rest of the people, the survey would be greatly benefiting them in their wildlife careers. And that was when one of the forest guards asked me, "Why are you contributing here? What are you doing in this field?" And as I said previously, when I'm so delighted by spending time in the wild and photographing the wildlife, it is my responsibility to give back to it. I in fact believe that if most people from non-wildlife backgrounds become aware and contribute whatever is possible for them, it would create a much larger impact than just one of them becoming a full-time wildlife conservationist. And with every person that becomes aware, at least 5 more become aware in succession. Thank you.